Welcome to European Railway, issue number 63, the DVD magazine for the continental enthusiast. In this programme, we travel to the Tauernbahn in Austria to view trains through the mountains. A visit to France to view BB 17,000 electrics in action. More endangered classes are seen with MAT 64 EMUs in the Netherlands. A look at mainline action in Germany to the south of Halle. Branch line operations are witnessed in northern Switzerland. And finally, a look at diesel operations on the cross-country route to the north of Bordeaux. We begin in Austria to the main rail route linking Salzburg with Villach. The line crosses the high Tauern mountain range to the south of St. Joachim in Pongau, between Schwarzach-Sankt Veit and Spittal am der Drau. Our journey starts in the north as we travel south to Spittal Millstadtersee. We begin just outside of Bad Hofgastein, where we see the now disused town station, now privately owned. Approaching the camera on the morning of Monday the 19th of September 2015 are 1116189 and 095, with 1144095 providing assistance at the rear of this southbound oil train. Overnight rain meant that the cloud base was still quite low, obscuring the mountains that rise to over 2,400 metres. The area is a popular ski resort, with a number of pistes that offer no less than 250 kilometres of downhill skiing opportunities. Heading downgrade off the single track section are 1144253 and 1116244. The lead loco is added for the mountainous part of the route, not only for extra power, but for additional braking on the steepest sections of track. This is the view of the town from our filming location. We now move south to Angertal, where a new bridge is under construction just next to the station. Passenger facilities here were withdrawn in 2006 and trains no longer call. Heading past the abandoned station is 1016-046 at the head of the 0645 from Klagenfurt to Vienne. Intercity services on this line run every 2 hours in each direction. A further 7 kilometres to the south is the station here at Buchstein, not far from the entrance to the Tauern Tunnel. This mountain railway was constructed between 1901 and 1909 and was largely single track, although improvements with the addition of a second line have been made over the subsequent years. Drifting through the platforms are 1144213 and 1116264. The station here was opened in 1905 and is situated amongst some superb mountain scenery, including this waterfall cascading over the nearby mountain sides. A new tunnel was opened in 2001 and replaced the original tunnel that was constructed from 1901 to 1905. 1116084 and 129 have cleared the north portal as they run past the original tunnel mouth, which has been kept as a memorial. Also seen parked up here is the tunnel firefighting and rescue train. Between 05:50 in the morning and 11:20 at night, an hourly car shuttle operates between here and Malnitz through the 8.3-kilometre Tauern tunnel. A single car journey will set you back €17. Train loco on this day was 10:16:027. The station here is 1,173 metres above sea level and sits beneath a number of nearby mountains. This is the Stubner Kaugel and this is the Ankaugel at 3,252 metres. 1144083 heads south through the station at 13:50 hours with the 0856 from Vienne to Villach. We move south to Lendorf now, and another view of number 083, this time heading back north with the 1516 from Villach to Salzburg. Moving south once more, and we're up the station at Spital Millstatter See, as unit number 4024124 arrives with the 1524 service from Linz. The station here has a small yard, and is the biggest in terms of track work south of Schwarzach St. Veit. The town was first mentioned in 1191, and today has a population of just over 15,000. Number 1116123 is seen returning south, this time at the head of the 0822 Frankfurt to Klagenfurt Eurocity service. close behind is this Railjet service, the 1553 from Linz to Vienne, powered at the rear by 1116233. This is the only Railjet service to run along this route, having travelled to Linz from Vienne earlier in the day. To the north of the town, and seen here on the far left, is the Plankkugel mountain at 1791 metres, behind which is the Hochegg at 2482 metres, and to the right is the Gemeineck at 2592 metres above sea level. Awaiting for a clear road south are 1116091 and 1144207. 4 freight services were seen in the 90 minutes that we were here. (1144s) also work a number of local services to and from Linz. Seen arriving with the 1624 from Linz is 1144024 in a now rather faded livery. Moving off shed is 1116277, which is getting into position to pilot a northbound freight. and the freight in question is seen arriving behind 1116132. This route sees a variety of workings through some spectacular mountain scenery, but to make observations or photography worthwhile, you will need to spend the best part of a whole day on the line. The French BB 17000 electric locomotives are now very much on the endangered list, and one of their last strongholds is working commuter trains on the line that serves Crépy-en-Valois to the northeast of Paris. The route is also the main line from Laon, and as electrification ceases at Crépy-en-Valois, it also sees diesel operations. We begin early in the morning of the 18th of September 2014 at the station at Villach, as the 0607 from Crépy-en-Valois to Paris Nord rolls into the station at just after 6:10. The BB 17000s operate this type of RIO coaching stock on this line, with the train locomotive almost always on the country end of the formation. After a brief 2-minute stop, number BB 17039 restarts the train ready for the next station stop at nearby Nanteuil-le-Haudouin. The journey to Paris will take 53 minutes from end to end. 17039 is one of 44 members of the class still on SNCF's operational books. Services from Laon to Paris are now largely operated by these new bimode Regiolis multiple units built by Alstom and based on the successful Corradia design. Z27500 diesel units are also common. These are forming the 0510 from Laon to the capital. (17054) is on the rear of this, the 0634 from Crépy-en-Valois to Paris Nord. Seven different Class BB 17000 are diagrammed for services on this line each day. Here at Nanteuil-le-Haudouin, number 17086 restarts the 0658 service for Paris. The class are slowly being withdrawn as new Z50,000 Francilion units are delivered to the Paris region. Their replacement on this line is expected to occur in late 2016. This is 17067 heading north. One train that is still diagrammed for a pair of BB 67-400 diesels is the 0642 from Laon to Paris and the 1751 return. On this date, power was provided by 67-450 and 67-456, just south of Nanteuil-le-Haudouin. This scene is taken at Roermond, as 17067 heads the 0758 from Crépy-en-Valois. This locomotive was introduced into traffic on the 20th of July 1967 and is still active today. The location here is not far from Paris Charles de Gaulle Airport. A pair of B81500 units head south with a service from Laon. A very small amount of freight traffic uses this line. Here we see infrastructure-owned BB 67623 on a northbound rail train. A total of 105 Class BB 17,000 were built and introduced into traffic between June 1965 and September 1968. They are an AC version of the dual-voltage BB 25500 design. First introduced on the then newly electrified line between Paris and Rouen, they have worked trains in the northern part of the Paris area ever since. Most remaining examples are now found working trains out of Paris Nord, on this route to Crépy-en-Valois and also between Pontoise and Cré, primarily on the Paris suburban routes H, J, K and L. In completely contrasting weather conditions, 17067 is seen just north of Villach on the evening of the 5th of October 2015, at the head of the 1609 service from Paris. Laon-based 76609 heads this northbound working just a few minutes later. Our final scene in the rain shows 17090 heading the 1731 from Paris to Crépy-en-Valois. It won't be long now before scenes such as this are confined to history. Meanwhile, over in the Netherlands, the days of the familiar round-nosed electric multiple units, so common on lines around the country just a few years ago, is now drawing to a close. In this section, we travel to the southeast of the country to find some of the last examples at work. The remaining Material 1964 units are now grouped onto 4 lines. One of these is the route south of Roermond on services to and from Maastricht, where they share the tracks with other, more modern designs. Just south of Roermond we see our first train, a Class 9500, number 9564, on a service for Amsterdam. Heading south is Class 4000, number 4055. This line sees around 12 trains per hour, and so you don't have to wait long. Rounding the curve after its Roermond station stop is unit number 9412, forming the 1038 service from Amsterdam to Maastricht. Freight traffic is very sparse on this line, so to see number 1612 heading north on a Sunday was very rare. The train in question is number 47612, the 10:31 service from Gemelle to Beverwijk. The date is the 4th of October 2015.
Bye.
At last, this is what we came looking for. A plan V5 leads a plan V4 on the 12:37 from Roermond to Maastricht. The units concerned are numbers 469 and 443. Class 4200, number 4205, heads north just 3 minutes later. We now move a few kilometres further south, close to the small town of Lineside, as IRM unit number 8709 heads a service from Amsterdam to Maastricht. Disappointingly for us on this day was one of the Plan V diagrams was being covered by this unit, number 4055. I suppose it won't be too long before even these units start to get replaced as well. The old MAT 64 units also work from Heerlen to Sittard and on the Tilburg to Eindhoven route, as well as on some services south of Nijmegen to Venlo. This is the nearby power station at Brachterbeek, situated next to the river Maas. Heading north is unit number 963. Just over 40 of the class now remain in service. This X-Class 2200 diesel number 2282 is now operated by Eurail Scout Inspection and Analysis, it being hired in from the leasing company Strukton. The locomotive is fitted with lights and cameras to video the track and is one of 3 used on the Dutch network. Our final scene shows the return of numbers 443 and 469 on a stopping service for Roermond. How much longer we will see these distinctive units in service is anyone's guess, but it may be that their passing may not be that far away. Germany is our next port of call as we travel to the Saale region and the town of Naumburg. Situated on the main line south of Halle, it links Erfurt as well as Bamberg to Leipzig. We chose a number of locations in the late afternoon of Tuesday the 29th of September 2015. The first is at the small station here at Leisling to the northeast. The line follows the valley of the river Saale through some superbly picturesque countryside. First up we see a pair of ex-DB Class 213 diesels, numbers 339 and 334, both now operated by Rheinsteigbahn Gesellschaft, and which are the only V100s on this company's books. Both locos date from 1966. The tail end of the previous train can be seen in the far distance, as this Class 411 ICE approaches from the south with a service for Dresden. Freight traffic was heavy with at least 4 per hour in each direction. DB's 152028 heads south at just before 2:15. Local services between Halle, Naumburg and Saalfeld still employ Class 143 electrics. Here 143859 pauses with the 1347 from Halle to Naumburg. Intercity services are generally half-hourly and are a mixture of ICE and push-pull operated formations. Heading north at the rear of train IC 2159, the 1023 from Wiesbaden to Leipzig is 101090.
Uhr 29, heute circa 5 Minuten später.
DB regional services between Halle and Eisenach are in the hands of hired-in Class 182 electrics from MRCE Dispelloch, and indeed have been for some time. The potential number of locomotives on offer causes quite a bit of froth with German haulage enthusiasts, as these normally freight-only locomotives are a worthwhile addition to the more predictable DB locomotives on offer on other services. Here ES 64U2018 pauses with the 1423 service from Halle. Moving just south of the station, the line enters open countryside. Here, an unidentified Class 143 is in charge of the 1517 service from Naumburg to Halle. Hot on the previous train's heels is 101090 once more, this time returning south with the 1537 Leipzig to Frankfurt. Following along behind is this unidentified Class 298, with this snowplough, an ex-steam locomotive tender. The ensemble is passed in the other direction by a Class 152. Work on breaking up some of the platform surface was being undertaken when we visited the station here at Naumburg. Meanwhile, 152-140 heads north with this mixed freight. The single-track line from Naumburg Ost to Wangen is operated by the DB-owned regional rail company Burgenlandbahn, a part of DB Regio. Here 672901 heads a service for Wangen. ES64U2028 departs the station on the 1623 from Halle to Eisenach. These Class 182 operated trains run hourly in each direction. Four kilometres to the southwest and we are near to Schulpforte, as the setting sun reflects off the sides of 185618 on a trainload of tank wagons bound for Groß-Korbita. HSL operates two of these Bombardier Trax DE diesels from Macquarie European Rail, Luxembourg, for chemical trains to and from Groß-Korbita. This is 285103. Just 3 minutes later, at 6:10, number 101065 heads north, powering at the rear of this the 1423 service from Wiesbaden to Leipzig. This is ES64U2 005. And was followed by 120-135. DB Schenker's 185339 is the loco on offer this time around, as it heads a southbound tank train from Großkurbita. We return once more to the western end of Naumburg station, just after sunset, as ES64U2018 arrives with the 1710 service from Eisenach. (101-008) is on the rear of the 1346 Düsseldorf to Leipzig. The 1346 ICE service from München to Berlin glides into the station formed by a Class 415 leading a Class 411 unit. Finally, just before complete darkness descends on the station, number 101131 arrives with a northbound intercity service bound for Leipzig. This is a busy line with a good variety of passenger and freight services to be seen on a typical day. Of course, weekdays are much more busier than at weekends. We make another visit to the Huttwil to Wulhusen line as far as Mensnau, a route we first visited back in 2011. We begin at Huttwil, where we see two scenes taken from each end of the station. Then to Huiswil, then east of Saale. Two locations are featured around Getnau, before we head south to the timber factory at Dalville, and before finally finishing up at the station at Mensnau. We begin at Huttwil, early on the morning of the 4th of June 2014, as the first freight train of the day along the route, the 0512 from Langenthal, arrives behind SBB's 11641. At this time the station still had manually operated point work. This has since been replaced with electric point motors. Class RABE 525 unit number 37 departs with the 0545 service for Langenthal. At the other end of the station, a second point operator awaits the arrival of the 0515 service from Luzern, formed by unit number 29. In the opposite direction, unit number 13 departs with the 0550 from Langenthal. Our next station stopover is here at Huiswil, as unit number 5 passes with the 0616 from Wulhusen to Langenthal. One 11641 has dropped its load of wood off at the timber factory at Dalville and is seen in the process of running light engine back to Langenthal. Normally this would bring empty wagons back, forming train number 64865, the 0637 from Mensnau. just east of Saale, we see RABE 525 unit number 13 forming the 0716 from Wulhusen. We are now at Getnau, and the first of two locations to the west and east of the town. The first scene shows locomotive number 11629 working the 0658 service from Langenthal to Mensnau. The train carries a mix of wagons, mainly for the wood and paper factories around Mensnau. The train was followed by 11641 again, which had swapped crews at Langenthal and is seen here with no wagons in tow on the 0806 departure from Langenthal to Mensnau. Another light engine movement, this time it's the return of 11629, heading west for Langenthal, having dropped its train at the sidings at Mensnau. Due to the steep gradients on the line, all freight services are in the hands of these RE66 locos. It's rare for anything else to turn up. Meanwhile, 11641 had visited Mensnau and was returning with freight train number 64871 when filmed here just east of Getnau. Heading south along the line once more, and we are adjacent to the paper mill here at Dalville, as unit number 9 approaches, forming the 1030 service from Villach. A new loco this time, as 11614 arrives with a short train of timber from Langenthal. Once the locomotive is off its train, the wagons are dragged into the unloading sidings by this modified bucket loader. The station here at Mensnau sees the arrival of Class RABE 525 unit number 29, with a service for Luzern. The road is then set for the departure of locomotive number 11614 on the 11:19 departure for Langenthal. Up to 6 return freight workings can be seen along this line on most weekdays. Shunting the local factory and station sidings was on this day in the hands of number 923005. Finally, we are back to our location east of Saale as 620-051 heads train 64860 from Langenthal on the morning of the 6th of June 2014. In our final section of this programme, we travel to France for some diesel action on the line that runs south of Saintes and onwards to Bordeaux on the southern part of the route down from Nantes. We begin on the route down to Pau, where we pause at a number of locations along the way. Our first filming spot is just north of the village of Bayonne, early on the morning of the 14th of September 2015. As AGC bi-mode Class B 82500 unit, number 82584, heads north forming the 0639 from Angoulême to La Rochelle. One regular working in the morning and late afternoon is a trainload of containers to and from Cognac. Here the morning working approaches the camera at 0740 hours with locomotive number 1512 in charge. Viewed heading south past the village of Villach is another bimode AGC unit number 82519, forming the 0812 from La Rochelle to Bordeaux. The camera picks out a number of adjacent features in this fairly flat landscape. The round domes are used to house grit for the roads and are situated just to the southwest of Saintes, some 10 kilometres away from our camera. Heading north on the 0755 from Bordeaux to La Rochelle are a pair of B84-500 Regiolis bimode multiple units. The scheduled introduction of new Intercity diesel multiple units in the next 12 to 18 months will see the elimination of the locomotive and coach formations that currently ply the line. A kilometre to the south is this crossing, where we have set up for one of the 5 loco-hauled passenger workings that traverse this line each way per day. Rounding the curve are locomotive numbers 67547 and 67582, powering the 0817 from Toulouse going forward to Nantes. We had less than 10 minutes to retrace our steps north a couple of kilometres, in readiness for the next southbound working, which saw 67432 and 445 working the 620 Quimper to Bordeaux. This is just south of the station at Pont, as another bimode AGC unit, number B82519, gets ready to call with the 1255 service from Bordeaux to La Rochelle. Like many locations around the country, the station has lost its freight facilities, and the redundant sidings just lie in rust, becoming increasingly overgrown and beyond further use. Moving south once again, and we arrive at Monac, for 2 scenes either side of the now closed station, before moving down to Quillon, and then north for some evening shots near to the village of Villach-sur-Saône. The abandoned station here at Monac is now used for a restaurant, which is mainly open in the evenings and at weekends. Heading down the slight grade we see 67578, powering north with the 1455 Bordeaux to Quimper service. These intercity trains are some of the last in France that are diesel-hauled. The line from Paris to Belfort being the other major route that sees diesel-hauled intercity services. A half-kilometre to the south, and we see 67424 and 589, with the 1305 service from Nantes to Bordeaux. We are now further north, near to the village of Villach-sur-Saône, as a pair of bi-mode Class B 81500 units, led by 81775, form the 1710 from Bordeaux to Saintes. This nearby field of corn will be ready for harvesting in a few weeks' time. Whilst heading south we see bi-mode number 81846. By now the sun was getting fairly low in the sky as we eagerly awaited the last northbound local hauled service of the day, which eventually produced blue-liveried 67496 on just 3 coaches. A classic train formation if ever there was one. Our camera was already in place for numbers 67589 and 524, powering south with the 1701 service from Nantes to Toulouse, the train passing us just 4 minutes after the previous northbound service. Heading south of Jonzac, we call at a number of locations down towards Boussac-Forêt. We also travel south of this region to view a train crossing the river Dordogne at Cubzac-les-Ponts. First up, we are just 2 kilometres south of Jonzac on a very wet 15th of September 2015, as 67589 heads through the vineyards on a 7.8% gradient with the 0556 service from La Rochelle to Bordeaux. With the church at Tougueros-Saint-Maury in the background, the 0812 from La Rochelle to Bordeaux heads through the rain on its journey south. This is the scene south of the village of Boussac-Forêt, where the railway still has wooden posts accompanying the tracks. Heading north is 67419, with a delayed 0817 Toulouse to Nantes Intercity service. As we said earlier, freight train movements on this line are very rare, so we were pleased to capture Eurocargo Rail's 66228 on this train bound for the port of La Rochelle. The time is 12:57 hours. We've already mentioned that we also travelled south to the Dordogne to look at the impressive bridge that takes the line over the river. The structure stretches for 2 kilometres with the 8 steel bays measuring a total of 560 metres. The rails are 21.8 metres above the highest water mark. The bridge was constructed between 1884 and 1885 and was opened in 1886. The adjacent road bridge and the railway bridge were destroyed by the German army in August 1944, but was repaired and reopened again on June 15, 1946. Viewed from Cubzac-le-Pont, 67558 heads the 1455 Bordeaux to Quimper service across the structure at just after 3 p.m. Local hold workings through to Quimper are due to finish shortly. We retrace our steps back to Boussac-Forêt now, as 67432 heads south with the 1305 service from Nantes to Bordeaux. Finally we head north, and it's a freight train that provides our last scene, as number 1512 heads the late afternoon Cognac container train, full of bottles of brandy, just to the south of Tourgaras-Saint-Maurice. As the train passes the camera, we would like to thank you once again for watching this edition of European Railway.